more than basic. It's a portion of his rap at the core is ancient. It's imported like a pack of some more observations. They're important like the fact that we're bored of fake shit. More creative, have the floor, so take it. Travel to the core is a normal placement. Tattoos on my arm and a
So I'm coming to you now on a Wednesday. We skipped Monday, so we're a little bit removed from the happenings of the weekend. But I still want to come to you and talk a little bit about it. When something big happens, I don't necessarily think it's my place to give a response per se, as if the world needs to hear what I have to say on the subject. But since this is a podcast and I do this thing live, I figure you ought to. We're going to talk about it. Talk about how I feel about it. So we're going to talk a little bit about Kobe Bryant today on Tattoo with Children. We're listening to Tattoo with Children. I am your host, Flavor Rand C-Day. Across me in seat B is the man who always has the up-to-date news, CIO Payne. Pirate Ben has been stricken with the influenza.
The super flu.
We think it may be coronavirus and influenza mixed.
It is not coronavirus. There is no corona in his hand. Therefore, it cannot be coronavirus.
He doesn't drink Corona, so it's not the coronavirus. But whatever it is, it's life-threatening, I'm sure. He'll be back. He'll be back next week for sure. But the thing I'm here to talk about is Kobe Bryant. And for those of you who don't know, and that's impossible that you don't know, because this is Wednesday and this happens Sunday, Kobe Bryant, basketball legend, one of the greats of all time, has passed away. And he crashed in his helicopter, and his daughter was with him, and two more other people's daughters with him, and their parents. Some of their parents were also with them, and it's a major tragedy for that region. And Kobe Bryant's death is something that a lot of people feel really deeply. So I want to say, this is a tragedy for everybody. It's a tragedy for everybody because we've lost a legend. And whenever legends die, we all feel it. Like, we feel it before we even know about it. You wake up and you just feel the world is different. You know, there's something different about the force in the local area. And you just know something's happened. And Kobe Bryant dying is one of those things that happened. I was asleep when it happened, and then I woke up. I was like, let me grab my phone. Something's going on, you know?
Yeah, you just feel it. There's a different, almost like feeling a difference in barometric pressure. You just know.
Yeah, you just know that the world is different. And so it's definitely a tragedy for everyone. So for anybody who's feeling that, like, you know, I didn't really know Kobe Bryant and it didn't really affect me all that much, it affected you some, okay? And it's okay to feel that. I want to get that out there. Two, you know, I wanted to point out that we handle legends dying differently because we all felt differently about the legends of our time. You know, we didn't all feel the same about it. Me, for example, I was never a big fan of Kobe Bryant. Like, I just there was a reason for it. And it's not my proudest reason, but it's something that I don't hide from. You know, Kobe Bryant and I are the same age. You know, he was born in 1978. I was born in 1978. Mm-hmm. So in the time when I was, you know, going to class, skipping class, you know, finger banging chicks, doing the things you do in high school, Kobe Bryant was getting his shit together. You know, Kobe Bryant was getting drafted by the NBA when I was fucking around. And, you know, I was 17, 18 at the time. That made me jealous. I mean, genuine hater rate jealous. Because Kobe Bryant knew what he wanted to do with his life that early. He had worked at it and figured it out already. And I hadn't even gotten started on any level. And so automatically, I had some opposition to his success as a kid. And as his skill in the game became apparent on the national stage, they began to say the thing that I hate hearing the most at the time, which was, comparing him to Michael Jordan. And to me, even today, Michael Jordan is the ultimate basketball player. There was no way I was going to accept that he was as good as Michael Jordan at that time. And so I was very resistant to his to that comparison. And so, like, in general, I was never going to be a fan of his.
Right.
You know, now, like, you know, you tell me LeBron James is good as Michael Jordan, I'm like, yeah, probably so. You know, like I've gotten older. You know, I'm matured a little bit. I can see things clearer. But I was never a Laker fan anyway. So him going to the Lakers didn't help. And so you know, I was never a Black Mamba guy. But as I got older, as he got older, his career went further. And you look at his career and how it happened, and how he handled things like injury, how he handled things on the business side, how he handled things, you know, how he handled conflicts with other players, how he handled competition. You know, one of the things that struck me about Kobe Bryant during his playing days was he gathered so much respect from the people who played against him.
Right.
Like,
it was a hard lesson for him, though, you know, because if you look at his play history, when he first came on and first started doing it, he was this upstart rookie.
Right.
You know, but no one could deny his talent.
Yeah, he was this kid, not even 20 years old yet, and he's like, you know, I'm going to go up against the best, and I'm not going to back down.
So it's not like he came into this whole thing knowing exactly how to work well with his teammates, even after years of experience in high school, right?
Right.
It's not like he came into it knowing that, right? He had years of hard lessons in that conflict with teammates, in having to do the one thing that, you know, nobody out there wants to do, right?
Right.
Kobe had to say to himself, if I just practice 2 hours more a day than anyone else, in 10 years,
I have to find
20,000 hours ahead.
Who is ever practicing the most. I have to outdo that person.
Right.
And he was willing to, he was not unaware of the price he was going to pay for it. What was the price? The price was a bad back. The price was feet that belong on a 40-year-old man when he's 20 years old.
Right.
You know, it's like the price was knees that could not bend for too long. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like he was willing to accept all of this wear and tear on his own body in order to be great. And he figured that out early, so much sooner than other people figure it out. That was a shocking part to me. Because you looked at some of the other people that came out of high school to go in the NBA, they couldn't do that.
Right.
You know, they were practicing a lot, and then when the pain got to be too much, they would take the off season and come back fat as hell. Mm-hmm. You know, it was like, oh God, I can relax. It's the off season.
That sounds like me.
Kobe Bryant didn't do that.
Right.
Kobe Bryant didn't have an off season,
mm-hmm.
and so he would put up 40 points when he was hurting, and when he wasn't hurting, he put up 80 points. I mean, that's stupid. Those are stupid numbers. And it is a crazy work ethic. But it was something he did year in and year out, game in and game out. And his compatriots, the people that matter, his colleagues, they respected that more than anything. So no one could really hate Kobe Bryant. You know, it's like if you played against him, you were his fan. Simple as that. You know, like, I mean, there have been several times when he would do something. Do some crazy backwards pass or a spin move into a dunk right underneath the goal when he shouldn't have room to jump, and like do something just really, you know, out of this world, and you would see the opposing bench laughing, you know, just crack up, like, well, he just did that shit. You know, I mean, like that sort of thing makes basketball better. It makes the world better because it's fun to watch. And then after he retires, finally, you know, he had a long career, like 20-year career. And then after he retires, he spends his time elevating the younger players. And that's what I want everybody to do. Like, everybody in my generation, the thing that we have to do, in my opinion, that we've been really remiss about doing, is reaching back to the younger people and giving them what we know. We think we don't know anything, and so we think we have nothing to give, but that's not true. Kobe Bryant knew he was in the position to give to the younger people, and he did it as much as he possibly could. You know, I mean, he was particularly to female players. This is something Michael Jordan didn't do. Mm-hmm. You know, Michael Jordan did not reach back to, you know, young females and be like, "Hey, let's go practice. I'm going to teach you how to do it in the NBA." He was like, "Well, you know, you're not going to the NBA. You know, there's WNBA, but no one's really paying attention to that. So really, you're just playing for college. You know, you don't really need me for that." He just bowed out of it, as did most basketball players. Quite frankly, most male basketball players just bowed out of it.
Jordan tried to do something new,
yeah,
and failed miserably.
Yeah,
just said, "You know what? I'm done."
That's how. For Michael Jordan, for all his competitiveness, he's pretty fucking selfish, you know, on the whole. And that's not what Kobe Bryant's about. You know, Kobe Bryant was never about being selfish. He was about, yes, he wanted to be the best, no doubt about it. He wanted everyone to think he was the best. He wanted everybody to know that he was the best. But he was not opposed to other people also reaching his skill level. Like, that didn't bother him. If somebody reached his level, then he would just have to elevate himself a little bit higher. That was the way he looked at it. And so, you know, you look at his body of work, his complete body of work, and it's what it adds up to is a fucking legend. A Muhammad Ali level legend. Mm-hmm. You know, a Jesse Owens level legend. Whereas, like, he just broke the ground and made a way for everybody after him. I really can't say enough good about the guy. He was the ultimate warrior, in the sense of he got so strong he didn't have to fight anymore. You know, he made friends out of enemies. That's the ultimate martial arts creed: making friends out of enemies, fighting without fighting.
We tend to think of rivals as enemies in today's culture.
Sure,
but if you really look at the ninja perspective on rivals, they are more friend than enemy.
Yeah, they're your. It's better to have a good enemy than a good friend, because a good enemy is going to sharpen your sword for you.
Right.
You know, and so it's like there's really not a whole lot of negative to say about the guy, and his passing is something that I'm going to grieve for a while. You know, I'm not, like, every time in the last few days I've woken up and remembered that Kobe Bryant isn't alive, I felt a little bit worse for it, you know, because the world was better when he was alive.
Right. I mean, to a great extent, when you lose greats like Kobe, I actually think one of the most apt comparisons is the loss of Prince. You know, it's not which that
I'm still
people
not over.
weren't. It's not that people aren't flawed, right?
Right.
It's not that people aren't different. It's not that they didn't make mistakes. It's that, all in all, when everything boils down to it, the world, as you said, the world is worse off now than it was when they were here.
Absolutely. And, like, you just mentioned flawed. Yeah, people that point out, well, he was accused of sexual assault. Yeah, he was. He was definitely accused of sexual assault. My answer to that is, okay, that was an accusation. It was not proven on any level. No one ever proved that it happened. What is known is that his accuser did have sex with Kobe Bryant. How do we know? Because Kobe Bryant went on national television, sat beside his wife, and told America that I had sex with that woman. Straight to our faces. Mm-hmm. He said from his perspective, there was no assault taking place, just sex taking place. And he was very contrite, not because he had attacked this woman. He was very contrite because he knew, as he sat on the couch looking at us in his face, you could see it in his face, that for the first time since he was probably 14 years old, he had done something that was out of character. It wasn't attacking a woman. It was betraying his wife. That betrayal, on that couch, what you saw on his face was him acknowledging that he had failed his own legend. And he was very contrite for that.
I think that the whole idea that we see in today's society where, you know, it used to be that we had memorials to tell people's story. And there was a really, really good flick about this whole entire concept with technology. Starring Robin Williams, actually. And where you have your entire life recorded and someone edits it into a summary, you know? And that to me, that is kind of an extension of that in today's society where we have these people who come out there and go, you can list all the good things he's done and how much of a tragedy it is, but what about this? But what about this? And I take that with the same grain of salt. I take people who go, well, this politician did this, but what about this politician on the other side? It's whataboutism. Mm-hmm. You know? Yeah. You're cherry picking things to try to make people feel bad for mourning the loss of another human being.
Which is shitty.
Stop doing it.
It's a shitty thing to do. And it's also a shitty thing to do, by the way, to have opinions about how other people grieve. Like this is one of the most disgusting things about today's society. Is a tragedy happens and a person is in grief and you have an opinion about how they're grieving. Your opinions in that arena, your opinions never matter to anybody but you. So you can pretty much stow all of them as far as I'm concerned. But your opinions about another person's grief that you put on social media, you put in a newspaper, you put on a podcast, yeah, you can shove that straight up your asshole all the way. I'm talking past the descending colon, deep into the Mesoamerica of your guts. Get that as deep into your fucking body as you possibly can so it never comes to see the light of the day again. That is horseshit. Never have an opinion about how somebody grieves. Grief is a process that we go through in order to live. And for you to say this person isn't grieving correctly, or this person is, oh, yeah, you feel bad, but fuck your butt. Forget about it. Let that shit simmer in your soul that you do not have an opinion about how people grieve. Okay? It's not worth it. It's not worth it to anybody to deal with your opinions about how a person is dealing with tragedy. And that's what we're dealing with here, people. We're dealing with the tragedy. And I really don't care how you feel about it. I mean, you didn't know Kobe Bryant. I didn't know Kobe Bryant. I never spoke to Kobe Bryant, ever. But Kobe Bryant was in my living room, night in and night out. He was a part of my life. He was a person that I counted on. And he was a person that you count on, whether you knew it or not. You didn't. That's the thing about greats. You don't have to like basketball. Mm-hmm. You don't have to watch basketball to be affected by Kobe Bryant.
Well, I mean, there's one good reason why this is completely unfair. This process of pointing out people's flaws after their death, right? There's one really, really good reason for why it is so terrible and so wrong, right? The only reason you can do it is because Kobe Bryant's life was out there in the limelight.
Yeah.
Okay? You can't do it for
Joe Blow down the street.
99% of the 3,000 people who died on 9/11.
Yeah.
Guess what? We as a nation mourned that loss. All of us together. Okay? We took action on that loss as a nation together. Not a single person went digging into the lives of these 3,000 people to point out, well, this guy at Merrill Lynch cheated on his wife
this
constantly.
Guy was addicted to cocaine. This guy was a gambler.
We don't do that.
This guy didn't pay his house payment.
So if you wouldn't do it for a normal person, why would you do it for a celebrity?
Not only why would you do it for a celebrity, why would you do it at all? Like what? In other words, what does it actually gain you? Like, this lady with Washington Post, pointing out that Kobe Bryant was accused of sexual assault. That's not news. We already knew that. Okay. If you're concerned about something a person does, ask them. She could have asked Kobe Bryant about his sexual assault case the previous week, and he could have answered her.
Yeah.
That's if you bring it up after a guy's dead, you're just being an asshole. You're just trying to cause unnecessary pain. Stop all of it. So, I mean, and that's not because it's Kobe Bryant. I'm saying it's because for anybody. Mm-hmm. For like that's just Whitney Houston dies, and then people want to talk. So, she was on drugs. What the fuck is wrong with you? Like, I'm not talking about a person's flaws when they die. I'm talking about a person's life. I'm talking about how they affected me. I'm talking about things that I knew about. And what I knew about Whitney Houston was when she sung, my soul sung with her. And when I'm talking about Kobe Bryant, when I saw Kobe Bryant with his daughter practicing basketball, and she is doing his jump shot, his outside jump shot, exactly the way that he did it. Mm-hmm. Like, I cannot tell you how happy that made me. Because he was a great father. Not because I knew what he did with his daughter every day, but because his daughter took his lessons. And that's all I want my daughter to do. Just learn my lessons. Because she learns my lessons, then she can learn a lesson beyond my lesson. She's going to go beyond me.
Right.
That's the thing that's lost now. Like the thing that's lost now is that one-on-one lesson that Kobe Bryant could have taught my daughter. Like, she's not going to get the opportunity now because he's no longer around. And that makes me really, really fucking sad. Mm-hmm. And currently I don't know of anybody to replace Kobe in that arena. Like, who else is doing that?
No one.
Like, no one else is doing that. Yeah, there are female basketball players who can, like Kobe Bryant said, there are female basketball players right now who can play in the NBA. And they're going to be there, and women are going to flourish. I'm not saying that everything's been set back. I'm just saying that perspective that Kobe gained is lost. It's lost now. And it's a loss for all of us. My heart goes out to his family, of course. His wife, his surviving children. It's the kind of loss that you can't explain. It's the kind of loss that you can't understand if you haven't gone through it. It's kind of loss that no one should have to go through. And I certainly hope that no one else in the world ever goes through it, even though that's impossible. It defies description, and so we can leave that there. All of that just to say, look, guys, we're hurting, okay, and we're gonna hurt for a little bit. It's gonna take us a while to get over this. Don't try and rush the process. Don't think that you're not worthy of your grief. You absolutely have every right to feel shitty every day until you get over this in your own time. All right? We earned it. We earned it by existing in America at the same time Kobe Bryant did. And that's something that we can't get away from, and it can't be taken from us. He was of my generation. Okay? He was one of me. He and I grew up in the same country. We were the same age. We had the same struggles. He was black just like me. He did more with his than I did with mine at the time. But I'm not mad about that anymore. As a kid, I didn't understand. As an adult, I get it. I understand that he had a drive that most men don't have. And I'm just impressed that he was able to win until the end. So that's Tattoo with Children for today. You can find Tattoo with Children on Facebook at Tattoo with Children. You can find us on Instagram at Tattoo with Children. You can find us on Twitter at Tattooed With. You can find me on Twitter at 100 Vanguard. There's one word, 100 Vanguard. You can find me on Instagram at Madara Shadow. You can find Pirate Ben, who wasn't here today, but he is still alive. You can find him on Instagram at Black Crow Brother or at Black Spot Tattoo Company. You can find Mike Payne, who is here today, on IG at CIO Payne and at Payne.points. Payne spelled Payne. And I want to point out the Patreon because that is a very helpful thing. It's extremely helpful. You'd be surprised at how little amounts, $1, $2, $3, $5, how quickly those adds up. So if you listen to me at all, if you can drop by that Patreon and drop any amount of money, $5 will get you into the first tier. But anything below that is also welcome, because those things adds up. If you can, if you can get onto that Patreon, that's patreon.com. Look for Tattoo with Children. You can just put that into a search box and I'll pop up. And also you can find us on Podchasers. If you don't know what Podchasers is it's kind of a web crawler that goes through and finds different podcasts and puts them together. You can do ratings on those podcasts, and the higher you go on the ratings, more people can find us. So if you want to give us a rating, even if it's not a great rating, I'll take it as an object lesson. You know, I'll read it and figure out what I got to change. And you just drop us a review on there, or just come by and say hi. And yeah, I don't have much to add to that other than to say, R.I.P. Kobe. You were one of the best. I'm gonna miss the fuck out of you. For the rest of you guys, take care of yourself before you take care of others. And I love you.
Later.
We were born to bring it back, but it's more than basic. It's a portion of its rap, but the core is ancient. It's supported like a pack of some more observations. They're important like the fact that we're bored of fake shit. More creative, have the floor, so take it. Travel to the tour is a normal placement. Tattoos on my arm and